Welcome to the Second Chair Leadership YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mark Novosek, and today we talk about, do you know yourself? Well, welcome again to another episode of Second Chair Leadership. And before we begin, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, like and subscribe to our channel if you really like our content. So today we get into, do you know yourself in the church and in ministry? And of course, we're known by God. Remember, Psalm 139 says, "For you have searched me and you know me, O God." So no worries, you are known by our Creator and loved. But how do you work amongst a team, amongst a leadership team, when you're not the one in charge? And I would submit that one of the most important things to be able to understand is knowing yourself and how you work and what that means in ministry. Well, what are some of those things, and what does that mean? Well, when you're working in a church and you're volunteering, in my experience, a lot of times what that means is the church has places that they need to be filled, jobs that need to be performed. And a lot of times in churches, what happens is whether it's volunteers or secondary church workers or people who have been there for a long time, well, we need someone to usher, we need someone to be able to fill a church council position or an elder position. That guy will do, even though maybe that's not the thing that you are skilled to do or that you've been called to do. And we're going to go over some tips to be able to understand what that means in context, and perhaps when to say no and when to say yes to different things in ministry. So one of the things I've found extremely valuable in ministry is being able to know myself and know my skill sets and know what I'm really good at, and perhaps what I need work on, or perhaps things that, man, you probably shouldn't put me in charge of that. Not a really good idea. So the first thing that I would ask you to do is, if you haven't taken a self-personality or a self-assessment test yet, if you've never done that in your life, that might be something you might want to consider, whether it is an Enneagram test. I am a hard 7 on the Enneagram for sure, or if it's a Myers-Briggs test, I am an EFNP for sure on that. Although, if I have to be completely honest, as far as my extroverted self, I used to be a very high E extroverted on that Myers-Briggs, and lately I've found that I am a little bit more introverted as I get older. Still a hard extrovert, but I really like some of my alone time. And because of my creativity, I have to retreat a little bit to be able to get energy to be that extrovert in the church. So something that I've come to understand about myself as I grow a little older. If you're interested in taking either of those assessments, the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram will be linked below in this video. So hope that you'll check that out. A warning, some of them may have a fee to be able to take them. I don't think they're all free. So just a heads up on that. So once you take those assessment tests, and once maybe you even are able to do it successfully with the staff together, what I would ask you to do is start praying about and start really thinking actively about, well, what are your skills? What are you really good at in ministry? What do you like to do in ministry? Maybe you can make yourself out a list. What are you really good at? What are your assignments as far as ministry goes? And what are you currently doing? Now, I am fully aware that usually most churches have a job description as far as what you're supposed to be doing and what you're supposed to be leading in the church and what you're supposed to be cooperating with the senior pastor. And of course, there's always that last line, duties as assigned for the senior pastor. So If that's part of your job description, then duties as assigned is exactly what that is. Duties as assigned. I once was in a church where I was in youth ministry. We didn't have a janitor for the youth area, so one of my duties as assigned was cleaning the youth room every single week. It wasn't my favorite, but that's what I was called to do, as one of my duties as assigned. But is most of your job things that are edifying to you, things that you are called to do, things that you're gifted to do, that you're able to bring along the church alongside that church's vision? Remember, we talked about that in a previous video, the idea that the church has a vision. Are you able to use your skills in the areas that you've been called to be able to build up the body of Christ? As an example, I took a call or a job a few years ago where I thought it was a really good fit. I was going to be a youth minister, and it turned out that what I was called to do wasn't exactly what I was gifted to do. The job description didn't change, but I soon realized that, boy, I really like to be in a place where I can kind of use all my talents, my musical talents, my preaching talents, my leadership talents, my youth ministry skills. But boy, I really also love to lead mission trips. So I moved on to a place that I was able to be with the vision of the church and to be able to also use every single one of my gifts to glorify God. That extroverted, that visionary person, and be able to go alongside the staff that I'm currently working with and build up the body of Christ. So something to think about. Are you in a place that allows you to do the majority of your work, or your job skills are the things that you are gifted to do and you're called to do? You're never probably going to find a job, a J-O-B, not a play, P-L-A-Y, but a job where you're 100% fulfilled. But can you get to 70%? Can you get to 80%? Every job has that. I'm not a fan of no one's ever going to put me in charge of the financials. That's not going to happen. That's not what I'm skilled at. They're not going to put me in charge of organizing on a large scale. But there's going to be 20% of that job where I need to keep my receipts. I need to be able to keep orderly. I need to be able to keep records of whether it's people going on mission trips, or what I've preached about before, or who's on the schedule to lead worship as far as music goes. So are you able to get to that point where you're feeling good about your call? And if not, talk to some of your coworkers. Talk to a trusted volunteer that you love. Go and have coffee with some of your leadership teams and ask those questions. Are we aligned? Are we moving forward? And is every person sitting on the bus where they're supposed to be sitting? Pray about people in your leadership teams. Are they in the areas they should be? And start really thinking about, well, if I'm in youth ministry, do I have all the leadership positions that I need? And are each of my leaders, my volunteers, in the right place they should be? Because then you can start saying perhaps no to people who are wanting to be on teams that aren't necessarily gifted to be on that, and to say yes to people who may want to move on to other things. So things to pray about. So a little recap. Are you able to assess your own skills and what you're most gifted at? Pray about those things. Talk to the staff and the leadership about where you might fit in best, and then pray about the people that are under you as well in second leadership, and see if you can get them to a place where you're all moving forward in that vision together with the gifts that you have. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to the Second Chair Leadership YouTube channel today. I hope you learned a little bit about what it means to serve in the church under our great God that we serve. Continue to lead from the second chair with grace and mercy under His guidance today and always. See you soon.